Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of NU Takes. My name is Michael, joined by Didi, and we're here to give our thoughts and reactions to Northwestern's season opening terrible loss to Michigan State Friday, 38-21.
So the Cats fell behind 13 seconds into the game on a 75-yard run by Kenneth Walker, who finished the game with 264 rushing yards, and Northwestern wasn't able to catch up. So, Michael, what were your initial thoughts and takeaways from tonight's game?
Well, my first thought is just, oh my gosh, the defense. It just went from it was just a slap in the face to see the defense go from one of the best units in the country to terrible looking tonight. They mightily struggled from the jump. I mean, we saw it from the first offensive play by Michigan State, a 75-yard run. That's not something that we're really used to seeing from a Northwestern team, and it is concerning for Northwestern fans, for the team, to see Northwestern give up these big plays right out the gate and to struggle in the red zone defense to bend, and end up breaking. And that was a whole mantra for Northwestern football last year, was bend but don't break, and now they're snapping. And yes, this is one game, but it's against a Michigan State offense that had a lot of question marks coming into this year and had a lot of transfers, a lot of turnover, and quite frankly was bad last year. And so to give up 38 points to a squad that came into the season looking very lackluster is very concerning. And I mean, Jim O'Neill, we talked about it, his struggle in coaching in the past has been run defense, and that showed up today with Kenneth Walker rushing for 264 yards. 200. This gave me flashbacks to Trey Sermon in the Big Ten championship game. And when you look at it, you think, okay, well, Trey Sermon is in the NFL. Trey Sermon was fantastic for Ohio State. He went to Oklahoma, he went to Ohio State, and he was great wherever he was. And Kenneth Walker, transfer from Wake Forest, he was putting up numbers for Michigan State, who, again, is not an Ohio State level. And so to be giving up that many yards to a guy who's not an all Big Ten name is very concerning. And for Northwestern to get absolutely duped on any sort of bootleg, any sort of misdirection, it's just a sign that they just weren't prepared.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you, especially on the preparation part of it. I think that, obviously, if I'm going to be honest, I think the person here to blame is clearly Jim O'Neill. It wasn't just little mistakes like, oh, the tackling wasn't good, or the coverage wasn't great, at least individual coverage. It was just bad all around. I mean, every running play, it seemed like there were just wide open holes for Walker to be able to run through. In the passing game, it just seemed like there were just wide open spots for Thorne to be able to throw the ball to. And it was also kind of concerning to see the defensive line, which was supposed to be one of Northwestern's best units coming into this year, struggle to put pressure when it needed to. Um, it wasn't able to pressure the quarterback. It didn't really have tackles for loss. And that was really, really concerning to see. I think that Jim O'Neill again should bear a lot of the blame for this, for the defensive performance today. Um, and I think that if Northwestern scheme and how they react to opposing offenses doesn't change going forward, they're going to have some major issues ahead of them. As for the offense, I actually felt pretty good about the offense and what we saw tonight, especially considering the situation that they're in. I think that the Hunter Johnson of 2 years ago, after falling into a quick hole, might have made poor decisions throwing the ball, but Johnson, protected the ball well. He had some trouble with snaps, and he had a fumble that he recovered. But I thought he played very, very well. Obviously nothing particularly outstanding. But I think considering all that's happened, to him, 283 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns, he had pretty good pocket presence. Um, I think he had a great game. I think that was probably one of the only bright sides, was Hunter Johnson's play, and the play of Evan Hull. But we'll get into more of that later. Um, Obviously, 38-21. It's not the worst scoreline, but Michigan State was in control the entire time, and it was a blowout. Do you think that this loss is a reason to panic for Cats fans?
Yes, I honestly do. Yes, it is one game and is so much turnover for starters and a new defensive coordinator. It seems like it's an entirely new team, but one game and getting absolutely blown out by a team that was projected to finish in the bottom half of the Big Ten and to not be a competitive squad and to be rebuilding still, trying to find the right players and to get blown out and having you. I mean, you said the scoreline wasn't even that bad. They lost by 17 points. I mean, 17 points is crazy. It just doesn't feel that bad because it felt like they got beat by 40. And so the defense looked helpless. When it wasn't the D line opening up holes and making Kenneth Walker's life incredibly easy. It seemed like there was just holes down the field and receivers wide open in the middle of the field. And it was Northwestern secondary was making it easy for Michigan State to drive down the field. And for the offense, I agree that Hunter Johnson showed up and played a pretty solid game. I was impressed for the most part by how Hunter Johnson was able to stay in there and keep persevering. I liked what Evan Hull did. I was very skeptical as to why Anthony Tyus was in that early. To throw the freshman as the starter was just kind of an odd move to me, especially seeing that he wasn't showing great production. It overall just felt very helpless for Northwestern. The offense felt very stagnant. It felt like they weren't doing anything. It felt like that the defense was letting Michigan State just run down the field. It gave me just flashbacks to 2019, which is not something that you want to feel as a Wildcat fan. And so I don't want to crazily overreact, but I do think this is a reason to panic, and Northwestern needs to change something soon. And Jim O'Neill needs to get this defense going and figuring out how to stop the run. In the next couple of weeks, Indiana State will be a good cushion. But when they walk into Duke, who lost to Charlotte, that's a Power 5 program. They need to be able to show up and show out, because if you lose to Duke, who is worse of a squad projected to be than Michigan State and just lost to Charlotte, then there's going to be major problems in Evanston.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know. I think that the situation in Evanston is as close to panic as it could get. I think, like you said, they need to, be comfortable against Indiana State, and they need to beat Duke. If they can't do both those things, I think that it is panic time. For Northwestern fans. It's just mind blowing to me. I get it. Michigan State has a strong offensive line. They returned a good amount of starters, but still, just what I saw today, it's just unacceptable from any program, especially one that's coming off of a divisional title in the Big Ten. It's just hole after hole, and they were just gaping wide. There were holes that I could run through, to be honest with you. Um, and to see that, that's not something you can just fix overnight. And I think that the defense we're going to see potentially the worst defense that Northwestern fans might have seen in quite some time. And on the other side of the ball, though, I think that for the offense, I think that there's a lot of promise there. We saw a lot of young players, especially receivers, get time and make good catches. Bryce Kurtz, Stephon Robinson, both had good games, in my opinion. They had great games. And I think that's just been completely overshadowed by, obviously the defense's performance. And I hope that this, isn't going to impede the offense's ability to, remain calm and poised and not try to do too much in following games.
Mm-hmm. But in my opinion, the offensive production just becomes pretty irrelevant to me when you're playing catch up the whole time and when they're scoring points because they are down by 10, 17 points. Because cool. Offense is progressing, but who cares if they can't hold anyone, because Northwestern's whole thing has been hold people and just score enough points. And Northwestern is not equipped to be one of those teams that can compete in a shootout. They just can't. And so if they get in a situation where they're playing a competent offense and then they got to try to match that consistently, I don't think they'll be able to do it. And I love some of the pieces that they have. And I think it is a step in the right direction, especially from last year. I think this could be an improved offense from last year. So, and Hunter Johnson won't be at Northwestern next year. Stephon Robinson won't be at Northwestern next year. And those are two of the main pieces. So, like, sure, it's cool to see them perform well, but in the end, it doesn't matter if the defense doesn't step up.
Obviously, the defense as a whole, is a big issue. But what was to you the most glaring issue in the game?
I think it would be the lack of play recognition, I would say, from the defense. There were the defense front seven struggled from the jump to follow plays, to read what was going on, misdirections. We saw the misdirection on the first play of the game, and Walker was able to take off 75 yards. Boom, and he was barely touched. And the entire Northwestern squad just got duped. And that seemed to happen again and again, where every time Michigan State would be able to part the Red Sea from the offensive line, and Kenneth Walker would just strut right through, and Northwestern could do nothing about it. And they weren't tackling very well, and they just weren't really picking up what was going on. It felt like Northwestern was behind, they were slow, and that they just had a lack of preparation. And so I think the issue would be that they weren't showing up to their talent level.
Yeah, I think that the play of the linebackers was really, really concerning. I think that Patty Fisher and Blake Gallagher were a luxury that obviously I think a lot of Northwestern fans appreciated, but didn't obviously realize how hard those shoes would be to fill until tonight. I think that Chris Bergen is a very talented player, but I think you can only do so much, and to call on him as the leader of that linebacker core is a tall task, even for him. Um, Outside of the defense and play recognition, which I would cite as the most glaring issue, I was concerned by Charlie Kubender's performance tonight. He's had a very inconsistent career at Northwestern. He's had two good seasons, both during Northwestern's two title runs in 2018 and last year in 2020. He had sort of a down year in 2019. Obviously, we all know what happened that year. And for him to go over 2 tonight, again, I mean, they were both long tries. The first one being 44
The
yards,
second one was like
and
25 yards. The second one was like 25,
that's
30
true.
yards. That was a chip shot.
Yeah.
I literally could have made that.
I mean, it is very concerning to see that. And those are field goals you have to make, and those are field goals that can change the trajectory of the game. That's 6 points. After half, that instead of 21-7, it's 21-13, and that's a one possession game. And I think that totally changes things. And I think that if Northwestern, with the issues that they're seeing on defense, if they can't rely on their kicker to make a field goal under 40 yards, it's just going to add on to the problems that they already have.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Kubander, if you need anyone to be solid and you need it, one of your top guys would be Kubander,
I mean,
because
you'd think
yeah,
it'd be him. This is what his, I
you would
think,
think so.
fifth
Yeah,
year with the
he's been
program.
in the program for years, and he was very good last year for Northwestern.
He's
And
very good last year.
to completely not just miss, but like just shank a 30-yard, 25-yard, 30-yard field goal is inexcusable, especially for a senior college kicker who is, I think, was he all Big Ten third team preseason watch list, something like that. He got some sort of accolade, I know, but I saw it on my Instagram. And for him to come out with that performance, like, come on, what are we doing? Oh, well, Didi, I know you're a Hunter Johnson fan. You're his number one fan. Did he meet your expectations in this game tonight?
He did meet my expectations tonight. In my pregame prediction, I got the score a little bit wrong, but I predicted him to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. He threw for 283 yards and 3 touchdowns. And again, just considering the position that Northwestern was in early, I think that he did as good of a job as he could have done. He didn't do too much, when there were no options down the field for him to pick a pass when he was under pressure. I think he did well to protect the ball, to make accurate reads. He threw some great passes. Obviously, in the first quarter, to Bryce Kurtz for a big game and to Stephon Robinson for a big game. And then that, obviously that fourth down conversion in the fourth quarter, which didn't really mean anything to Bryce Kurtz. That was a great connection that, gives me the sense that he's going to have a really good year this year. I think he was confident, he was poised all night long, even though, again, the score line, even though, it might not have mattered tonight. I think that that's got to be something that motivates Cats fans to see the kind of play he had and the kind of connection that he had with his former high school teammate, Bryce Kurtz. 7 catches for 80 yards. He had a productive night. Stephon Robinson looked good tonight, especially, on that difficult touchdown pass that he caught. So I'd say I was very happy with, I was very encouraged to see what Hunter Johnson could do tonight. And I think that, he's got a lot of promise going forward.
Yeah, I would agree that there were points of Hunter Johnson's night that I was ecstatic about. His deep throws when he was dot every time. I mean, it was just.
That's something that you haven't
so,
seen a quarterback at Northwestern do in a while.
I know. I was shocked in like the first quarter when the only production that Northwestern would have offensively was a deep throw. What in the world am I watching where the Northwestern defense is like a paper, like a cardboard wall? I don't know if that's really a thing, but cardboard wall, and that they're moving the ball through deep throws. Like it felt like I was in a Twilight Zone or something. But Hunter Johnson, I liked his deep throw accuracy. He had a couple rockets there. The one thing I would say, it seemed like he's doing the thing that I kind of do when I play like NCAA 2014 or like Madden or something, where you kind of pick who you're going to throw to before the play starts. It seemed like he was kind of doing that, where if the first option wasn't there, he didn't really know what to do with himself. And a couple times he left receivers out to dry a little bit. In particular, I think they were in the red zone and he threw to Mangieri, and Mangieri immediately just got decked. And then he dished it out on the flat to the running back, and the running back got decked immediately. He was setting his guys up a little bit to just get popped, which he's going to have to watch. But I think overall, for his first start in 2 years, it was a strong performance. If he can improve his reads to be able to go to that second and third option, he's going to excel.
Yeah, I also want to note that his 283 yards passing were more than Peyton Ramsey had last year in any regular season game, which, again, they were playing catch up, which is something that they didn't really have to do last year, but something to note. Outside of Hunter Johnson, though, what other positives did you see in tonight's game?
Evan Hull. I've been high on Evan Hull in the offensive preview, and Evan Hull showed up. I don't know why he showed up in the second half. I don't know where he was in the first half. He wasn't really getting the call. But in his touches, he was fantastic. He added on some garbage time stats, but when it really counted, he had 6 rushes for 66 yards, which is a fantastic stat line, 11 yards per game. And he obviously broke off that big chunk run of 49 yards. I mean, Evan Hull was making plays the second he got into the game. And that's what I like to see from a more veteran running back. He's the one who's been in the Northwestern program the longest in that running back room. And I think that adds a lot, especially early in the season. I would have liked to see more from Anthony Clare, just more touches, more opportunities. I think that Anthony Tyus throwing him in there again was just kind of an odd move on my part. I know he's talented. We understand all of that, but it just felt odd to rely on your true freshman who you haven't seen against real in-game competition. I would have gone with one of the veterans. But Evan Hull, I think I was very impressed. I think that his role is just going to expand more and more as the season goes on, and he'll end up being the RB1 this season, and that he will perform well in this role, and we'll be able to see Hunter Johnson and Evan Hull be 2 rocks for this Northwestern offense. And hopefully the defense will be able to stand up, but I think Evan Hull brings a great foundation to improve the running game in the absence of Cam Porter.
Yeah, I think I have an apology to make. In our season preview, I was kind of down on Evan Hull. I didn't think that he should start. I didn't think that he should see a lot of minutes, but he played, like you said, really, really effectively tonight. Obviously, he ripped that huge run, on that first drive after halftime, and he was also effective in the passing game. He caught three passes for 23 yards, but he looked comfortable out there. He looked like he knew what he's doing, and he looked quick. He looked, fast. He looked like he could, run people over. Not obviously not an out of this world performance, but definitely very, very effective. And loved what I saw out of him tonight. Even beyond that, obviously I think with Tyus, the decision to start him, it is what it is. But I think it was really encouraging to see him get out there. Obviously being a true freshman, to get out there and get touches. Obviously, he did, struggle a little bit in terms of efficiency. Eight rushes for 13 yards. But I think it was just good to see him on the field and to kind of see, true freshman out there. And outside of that, in terms of positives, I think just like seeing the new guys, at least on offense, at least really, to be honest, only on offense, uh, show some signs of life. We saw Jacob Gill, make a neat little catch. We saw Trey Pugh, with two touchdown catches. Someone that we didn't really know what to expect out of him this year. Charlie Mangieri had a solid game. And again, this is all relative, I think, to expectations, and maybe this is what we should be expecting from them. But just to see those guys and those first time starting roles kind of, do their job, which, something that their defensive counterparts can't really say, I think was a good sign.
Yeah, I guess just the Northwestern backup tight end is just going to be the red zone threat because it was Charlie Mangieri last year, and now suddenly Trey Pugh is just everywhere in the end zone. But
Yeah, I don't think anyone would have predicted two touchdowns for Pugh, but take it.
exactly, fans will take it. Well, it wasn't the best night for Northwestern fans, but it was a night, and so they'll be back again at Indiana State at Ryan Field next week, next Saturday. So hopefully that will be a bounce back for Northwestern fans. And so from NU Takes, I'm Michael Bartholomew,
I'm DD Jen.
and we'll see you all next week.